Well, hello, my friends. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to it. It is the Michael Duke Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska. This your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com, where there's the streaming, there's the podcast, there's the links to our social media sites, and so much more. Hello, my friends. How are you today? Hump day, middle of the week, downhill slide. We can see Firearms Friday from here. Oh man, it's good stuff. You ready to dive into it today? We got some fun stuff to talk about. Coming up in hour two, I guess we won't bury the lead this time. Coming up in hour two, State Senator Mike Shower will be joining us via telephone from somewhere down on the peninsula. He's enjoying a little bit of well-earned time off and spending some time with the fam and doing stuff between his full-time gig and the end of the session, or the interim of the session, I guess I should say. So we're going to get a chance to talk to him for the first time in quite a while, and we'll see what he has to say. It's been about a month or so since we've talked to him last, and we're going to be looking forward to that for the Shower Hour of Power. That'll be coming up in hour two today. In hour one, we're throwing the phone lines open. In fact, the phone lines are open right now. 907-433-3150, 907-433-3150. If you'd like to call in today and help drive the bus, so to speak, steer the conversation, we'd love to hear what you have to say, and we'll keep our ears to the ground here and see what is the hot topic on your mind today. We'd love to interact with you and have some conversations. In the meanwhile, I do have a couple of headlines, but one of the topics that I really want to dive into today is a discussion, and I'm working on getting some guests to come in and talk about this because I've been watching this for a while. We've touched on this topic a time or two, but I would really like to get a little bit more in depth on it, and that is the rising interest, or so it appears to me, a rising interest in career and technical schools, which I think is a welcome change to what we've been seeing here in the last couple 3 decades of educational experience, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm kind of excited to see that people are finally seeming to be waking up and smelling the coffee, as it were, on the issue of college and careers and everything like that. So I kind of want to delve into that a bit. There's some interesting stats that have come out here recently, and I think it is I just think it's a fascinating topic, and I'm happy to see it. And I'm looking forward to going over this. And like I said, also talking with some folks. I've put out some emails and feelers here this week, trying to get some experts on to talk about this, people who follow this topic a lot more closely than I do, who will come on and give us some information about it. And hopefully we can get some more details on it. That's the plan anyway. So that's kind of the direction that I would like to go today, but I'm also, I'm easy. I'm free and clear. It is Wednesday, and I would love to just chat with you guys about I'm also working on. Ooh, where is my email? I'm also working on another segment for What If Wednesday. Wasn't able to pull it together for today, but hopefully by next week, we'll be talking with some more experts. Again, continuing on with the medical with the medical issue, we'll be hopefully talking with some experts in medicine. I got the authors of the book. Um, not where there is no doctor. What is the extreme? There we go. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Dr. Joe Alton and Amy Alton, a husband and wife, a doctor and um, a doctor and an advanced nurse practitioner. They wrote a book called The Survival Medicine Handbook, a guide for when help is not on the way. And we're hoping to have them on the program here maybe next week for a good what if segment. And we're going to be working on that here. So I'm looking forward to it to see what happens there. All right. What else we got going on here? No, I have not had enough coffee yet today. I'm just trying to get up, trying to get up to speed with you guys and get everything going on. Okay. That's it. All right. Let me okay. Making sure that we're all squared away. Okay. I guess let's get into it. First of all, again, phone lines are open 907-433-3150. 907-433-3150. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and we will continue to work together on all this and get things all skookumed away, so to speak. So let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. The pandemic did some interesting things for us, and we've often likened that to some of the silver linings, right? We talked about how it highlighted the fact that people did not need to be tied in to brick and mortar schools, that they discovered that homeschooling was not just was not just a fad. It wasn't as hard as it had been intimated to many people. They thought, they were told, oh, it's so hard, you just can't. And then when they absolutely positively had to do it and they really had no other choice, many people discovered that it wasn't as hard as they had expected, and that was good. So we got that. We got the remote work thing, where many businesses discovered that that was actually feasible and that people uh, So, it was, this is again a piece of good news that they're starting to see through the fact that they don't absolutely positively need that 4-year degree to be successful. Almost half, about 48% of high schoolers said that their post-secondary education would ideally take 3 years or less, with just over a third said that it should take 2 years or less. They're looking less and less at this, idea that college is some kind of experience that is required to be 4 years and all this kind of stuff, and I think that that is, again, another piece of good news from off the horizon from the pandemic, is that they're reassessing and they're finally taking a look at that. And I would like to say, in my mind, in many ways, that this may be that the good thing, the beginning of the end of this dependency on all this government supported 4-year. You have to have you got to get a degree in international basket weaving or whatever is required. And so this is, I think, again, a good sign. Continuing into those insights, basically, a majority of those same high school students in the survey, 62%, worried about paying for college. But it also showed that the not wasn't just the monetary, it was the time consideration. They were concerned about the length of time they would be out of the marketplace or out of the workforce, and many of them want to get on with their lives. Again, I think, again, a good reflection of what came out of the pandemic. Because remember, one of the big things that we've talked about in the past that, I think came out of the pandemic was this realization that life is I mean, we saw the whole workforce shift, right? We saw the whole workforce shift, from an idea of I'm willing to work a gazillion hours a week or whatever to I'll work by 40, but then my time is my time, because people had to face their own mortality. That's kind of the whole point here. And I think some of that is probably rubbed off on these students where they want to get through the college portion or the education portion as quickly as possible so they can get on with their lives and enjoy their lives and not have to spend the full 4 years doing it. In 2020, 20% of students considered attending a community college, it found. That rose to 25% in 2023. So, that's a that's a pretty significant increase in just a couple of years. Likewise, students considering career and technical education rose by another 20% in 2023. Interest in on-the-job training rose almost 20% over the same period. And while interest in the traditional college experience remains high, about half of the students surveyed, about 52%, said they were considering a 4-year institution. The percentage that has largely remained unchanged since 2021, keep in mind, that interest has yet to recover from its pre-pandemic standing. It used to be over 70%. Now it's down to 52%. So again, that 20% increase is being eaten up by many other options across the board. And I think that that is a fantastic start. We're going to talk about some of the other stats and statistics as well on this. Like I said, this is a topic that I find fascinating, and I'm looking forward to being able to have some more expert conversations on this. Hopefully, this week or next week, we'll continue this conversation a little bit more. Phone lines are open right now. If you'd like to sound off, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. 907-433-3150. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We return with more. And your phone calls, these messages. Well, I don't know why all the I don't know why all the stuff is conspiring to work against me here. All my technology is conspiring to work against me. All right, somebody else is saying they can't hear the music again as well today. Why? I have no idea. That it was working on Monday, nothing changed. You came on Tuesday, that's it. It's all what I mean, whatever. All right, let me see what I got here. Right there. Okay. Car wall. Let me try this. We'll see what this looks like. Will you guys tell me if you are hearing the music? Can you hear the music? All right. So you guys, I think there's like a 30-second delay. If you guys can hear me and hear the music, let me know if that fixed it or not. No music still. My tech problems are likely sunspots. I mean, it could be loosened up behind the wheel. I mean, I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out why it would just change arbitrarily. Well, you hear me, but no music. That was the thing. Okay, well, fine. I'll just change the whole thing. Here. I'll move that around over there. Do that. I'll go back over here. Change this. I mean, this is fascinating stuff for the podcast. I'm sure everybody in the podcast is like, I'm so glad I'm listening to this right now. Okay, we'll try that. How about that? We'll try that. Oh, God almighty. That's like so many different things going on at once. That's obviously not going to work because that was going to give me a headache. Okay, let's try that. And finally, that one and that one. Okay. Clicky, clicky, clicky. So many clicks. All right. More likely age spots, not sunspots. It's possible. It's very, very possible. Very, very possible. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what went down here. Let's see what's Mix Minus doing here. I'm over here on that one, and we'll do that right there. And we'll try that right there. Okay. This setting can cause unwanted echo if used incorrectly. Okay. It's very possible. There you go. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear the music now or not, but if you just heard that, then let me know. I just played a big rock riff right there. We'll see what we can do. Well, let me ask you a question here. Can you guys hear? Let's try this one. Can you guys hear this? I mean, the game show stuff. Did you guys hear like the game show music there? Might have to dump everything into my deal. Okay, so that's working. So it's something lost between there and there. All right, well, we'll figure that out. We'll work it out. That's a totally different system. So my normal system is not working, but my backup system is fine. All right, we'll figure it out. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like and share, like and follow, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Here we go. Okay. Hello. Good morning. Welcome back to the program. Spent the entire commercial break sussing out some technical issues. I don't know what's going on, but it's one of those things where everything's working fine one day, and then the next day something just arbitrarily doesn't work. That is the joy of being your own producer, engineer slash. This is what happens when you have a low budget radio show. You know, things are perfect, work for months, and then suddenly it's just no longer there. That's the just doesn't work. You folks on the radio are not having a problem, but folks who are on Facebook and YouTube and stuff, they're not hearing the music or anyway. I guess it's irrelevant at this point. Let's continue ahead here. Remind you that the phone lines are open if you would like to sound off on any issue. Kind of a slow news day the last couple days. I've been watching, and the same headlines are still up on pretty much every major news site in the state right now. The same headlines continue to percolate around because there's just really not. There's really not a thing that's really happening out there in regards to politics or anything else. Which, again, not a bad thing. I am not disappointed in that at all. It's one of the reasons why last week when I got a chance, we sat down and talked with Chris Story about his book because I thought that would be a fun discussion. Just kind of a slice of life discussion, and it's something that I'd like to do a little bit more of. Around the state of Alaska. Bear Paw Festival this weekend down in Eagle River. For those of you who are down in South Central and you want a chance to go do something fun, they're doing all kinds of stuff from car shows to motorcycle shows, photography exhibits. They've got the big parade, the Army band. They've got an Art of Trash thing that they're doing. They've got the Midway, they've got the vendors, the beer gardens, the all horse-drawn carriage rides, the Slippery Salmon Olympics, which just sounds fun. Goat yoga, and I mean all kinds of stuff. It's all going on starting actually today. It's actually starting this afternoon with some luncheons and some events, but the big deal kicks off tomorrow at 2 p.m. and goes through Sunday down in Eagle River. So if you're out in the area and you want to go check out something and do that, that's a fun. The Big Bear Paw Festival going on down in Eagle River this week. All right. So we were talking about the education and the rise of career and technical schools. Okay, so let me get to the point to where I really wanted to get into. All right. So we were talking about how the portion of students rather who were considering and attending a community college had jumped 20%, that the students considering career and technical education had jumped 20%, on the job training interest had risen 20%. About half the students that were surveyed said they were considering a 4-year institution, but that it is still 20% lower than it was pre-pandemic. So we're already seeing that. Nearly 4 in 10 Gen Z students, though, almost 40%, said that the most important consideration in choosing a college was what careers would be available to them, which I thought was, I mean, to me, I would always thought that would have been like a much higher percentile rate. I mean, when you go to college, you're looking at, I mean, even back in the late 80s, that's how old I am, the late 80s, when I looked at college, I was thinking, what do I want to do? I wanted to be on the ocean. I wanted to be, I was interested in oceanography. There was a lot of things that I was interested in. And when I was looking at my college career, I was like, well, where do I want to go? And what are the jobs that are available? I mean, even I was looking at that time. So the fact that it's only 38%, that just under 40% said that the most important consideration was what career would be available to them. That's when you know you have a problem. When it's not 100% or 90% of them said I mean that college was a means to an end, right? Or that the education was a means to an end. At this point, students have all pretty much acknowledged 60% of students are getting an education for the sake of getting an education. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that per se, but then you got to wonder why people are stressed out and worried and everything else, because what they were told was that if I got a good education, I'd get a good job. Instead of looking for that job and finding a way to use the education to get you there, it was not a means to an end. Now it simply was the end in and of itself, was getting an education. So that number is still worrying among me. Among those surveyed, excuse me, among those surveyed, by the way, again, this is coming out of a study from, I'm sorry, I forgot this is from the Higher Ed Dive. Among those studied and surveyed, 79% said that it is important to have an on-the-job training experience as part of their higher education. About two-thirds, 65%, said they would ideally learn job skills through internships or similar programs as well. The most disturbing thing about this whole thing, though, at the end was this little tidbit left at the very end of the article where it talks about the vast majority, 90%, said the government should support education and careers by subsidizing higher education, reimbursing tuition, and helping pay off student debt, because that's the government's responsibility. And 86% said the private sector should behave similarly, providing and reimbursing employees for formal education. When did it become government's, responsibility to do all those things? Isn't that your responsibility? I mean, isn't that something that you should be focused on instead of waiting for Uncle Sugar to come pay your bill for you? I mean, again, the vast majority, 90%, said the government should support education and careers by subsidizing higher education. Okay, wait. Do you not know that higher education has been subsidized to a monumental amount already? They want to see reimbursing tuition and help paying off student debt as being but many of these institutions are already being, I mean, look at the University of Alaska. Look at many state universities. Look at some of the other big ones. They're all receiving huge amounts of monetary of monies. It's absolutely. But when I saw it, 90% want the government to pay for it. Who do you think pays for the government? Did we skip that day in civics class? Who do you think pays for all? It's absolutely astonishing. There's another article over at NPR talking about this from last year. Community college enrollment is down, but skilled trades are booming. They've got a chart in here about how community college enrollment has shifted during the pandemic. 38% increase in enrollment in agriculture, agricultural operation, and related sciences. That's at the top of the list on the one side of the scale. On the opposite side of the scale, physical sciences had a 32% drop. Basic skills and developmental remedial education had a 27% drop. English language and literature had a 21% drop. Law enforcement, firefighting had a 21% drop. I mean, you could just go down the list here and see what was happening. This is all during the pandemic from 2019 to 2022. This was a shift in majors, college majors, as they were going through. And you could just see these things are changing. According to a report and a survey conducted by the Association of General Contractors in 2021, the survey found that 89% of all contractors were having a difficult time finding workers that were trained for the job, meaning they were running out of skilled labor that already, has the technical skills and the experience needed. According to the leader of a construction program at Texas State Technical College, he said the demand for workers is huge. He said, "We have contractors calling us weekly. Do you have anybody we can work?" I mean, they just want people. Part of the labor shortage can be attributed again to experienced workers aging out of the field. That same guy who is the leader of the Texas State program said the average building inspector here is about 58 years old. So they're leaving faster than they're coming in. But again, goes back to that little dark area that we were just talking about. Remember the 90% of people, the college Gen Z students who said that the government should pay for everything? The Association of General Contractors is quoted in this article, Steve Sandher, the group's CEO, saying the federal government only spends $1 on career training for every $6 it puts into college prep. This funding gap for career training is one of the main reasons so many contractors have a low opinion of the current pipeline for preparing new craft and construction professionals. It's like they're asking, well, you're spending $6 on college, you should spend $6 on us. I mean, why do we continue to look to the government to be the answer to there are so many problems in America. America's still a great place to live, but the root of many of the challenges that we seem to have today is, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many Americans overall, based on their confidence level in what's going on in government, is government. And yet at every opportunity, we continue to turn around and look back to government to say, well, if only Uncle Sugar treated me as well as he treated somebody else down the street, we'd be okay. But again, $1 on career training, technical and career training for every $6 it puts into college prep. But this again just shows that overall there is a true problem as we move forward on this. What was the other thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to this? There's so many different articles that I was scanning and reading through yesterday, and I reached out to 2 or 3 different outlets that deal specifically with this trend in the trades and the blue collar. And the certificate programs. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about, was a certificate program. But I'm out of time, so I guess I will. I guess we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Make sure you like and share, like and follow, do all the stuff that you want to do if you come on out and visit us on YouTube or Facebook. And return here in just a moment as we continue. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Mike Shower going to be our guest at the top of the hour. Don't miss that. Back with more right after this. Okay. All right. Okay. Learn a trade. It's fun. Yep. Germany provides free, even though it's socialism. Germany provides free university after the student provides 2 years of service to the hospital system or the military. We do the same thing here with the GI Bill, right? I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Donna says it right there. Government subsidies always result in low quality and high cost. Yeah. Uncle Sugar will pay for your education if he can sniff your hair. Maybe kids should study radio studio design. Well, some people do, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what's happening, is some people do. All right. Let me go back over here to see what I was looking at, to see what, if anything, has changed. Will not be included in the output. Yes, that doesn't matter. That's all good. Okay. All right. Well, I'm a bit, again, a bit confused as to what is going on with that. Let me change something else here. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what is missing from this. What is okay? Well, that's a mute output, so that's an echo. I don't want to do that. I want to mute that output. And how does that work? Don't know. Let me see. That's cable A, and that is cable Roadcaster to Pro Main Stereo. Okay, that's all good. Okay, so I'm going to change me some cables here. Let me change some virtual cables. Did you know there was such a thing as virtual cables? They're not real cables. They're virtual. All right, let me go back over here. Change this virtual cable to another virtual cable. That would be that one right there and that one right there. We hit OK. We're going to close it. And then we're going to reopen it because we're trying. We're trying here to make sure that you guys can have huge music. Timothy Johnson over on Facebook or on YouTube says we're having a huge problem just keeping skilled workers up at Fort Knox. Most of our workers have only been here 2 years, and the older skill workers are retiring early. I mean, that's, somebody else said that they had heard that Fort Knox and other places were hiring, and that would be a good place to try and go. Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Especially if they're willing to train you with on-the-job training and apprenticeship programs and things like that. And you don't have to go get a 4-year or a 2-year or 3-year or, whatever degree. It's good. No, Terry says, don't do it. You might blow everything up. All right, guys, tell me, can you hear this music? That's the thing. That's the question. Can you hear that? It's just the mixing slide on your board. No, trust me, it's not just the mixing slide on my board. It's one of those things. So, no. You guys still can't hear it. Well, I'm a little disappointed, to say the least, that you guys can't hear what's going on. I'm going to have to think about this. I'm going to have to think about this for a bit to see exactly what changed in the downstream mode of what we're doing here. Let me look at what else is going on. That's custom. How about that? Let's do that. Nope, let's not do that. Okay. All right. Well, that answers that question. Okay. Just put a radio in the background, says Harold. He obviously knows nothing about radio and feedback loops. But, he's got an answer for everything. He's got an answer for everything. Oh, all right. How far are we? We're a minute away. We're a minute away right now. And this is bugging me now because, again, you guys heard the music on Monday, right? It was just yesterday that it quit working. And I thought it was just going to it's one of those things that required a reboot, right? Or something like that. Just a reboot. That's all it required. Open this mixer here to see what this says. And, okay. Cable. That's 100%. Okay. All right. Well, I'm trying. And but you're always on the clock, trying to get things done. You just have to settle for my sexy voice. Yeah. Apparently I'm not a tech guy. Wow. That's probably one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. Like, tech guys never have problem with tech. Like, because you're a tech guy, you could never have problem with tech. You're a genius, my friend, a genius. I am a pain in the something. I mean, that's you ask anybody who knows me. That's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. All right, welcome back to the Michael Duke Show. Open line, open forum today. Where are you guys, man? You have not been holding up your end of the deal here. I got the phone lines open and nobody's bothered to call in. I just thought that was rude. I just thought that was rude. 907 907 433 3150. 907 433 3150. If you'd like to sound off, we'd love to hear from you this morning. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say and to chit chat with you and let you know. I don't know, just get your input on what's happening out there in the world today. Some interesting comments from Timothy over on YouTube, who's watching on YouTube this morning, and he said they were having a huge problem up at Fort Knox, up in Fairbanks. They're having a huge problem keeping skilled workers. Most of their workers have only been there 2 years, and the older skilled workers are retiring early. So there's about ready to be a real challenge up there as they struggle to lose all that institutional knowledge. So it should be, I mean, it's going to be an interesting time to say the least. But that's happening everywhere. That's happening everywhere right now, and it's continuous. It's why one of the reasons why I think people like Mike Rowe, who's the Dirty Jobs guy, right? He's got the Mike Rowe Foundation and everything else, pushing career, technical, blue collar jobs, that kind of stuff. Is That's why that stuff is resonating, and hopefully it continues to pick up because man, you're gonna be needing some of that stuff here in the near future. All right, let's go over to the phones and see what you guys have to say. I guilted somebody into actually calling in this morning. Let's see what they have to say and where they are and where they're calling from. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hey, Jason, I'm glad you were goaded into calling this morning. What's going on? What's on your mind today? Right. Right. Right.
And consumer electronics that are made that way too. You there?
All the different options that are available for folks out there. But I agree with you that a simple change in the verbiage, sometimes saying something as simple as industrial arts instead of technical education or VOTEC or all the buzzwords. Maybe that, like you said, maybe somebody's turned off by the idea of it being technical. Maybe they want to work with their hands, and the technical aspect scares them. Maybe somebody who has got a more artistic side and wants to work with their hands would be interested in the whole idea of industrial arts. Sometimes it is just a verbiage change. Maybe it's just an educational change. Maybe if we stopped looking down on all of these different, if we stopped looking down on all of the vocational tech as we did for years, maybe that would help change some of the mindset. And I think that's coming about. I mean, that's what some of these numbers and statistics are showing, that more and more people are discovering or thinking maybe 4 years of college isn't for them.
And that's another term we could use too that they used when I was in college. I remember there was a 2 year associate's degree. It's called not a BS or a bachelor's, but it's a BS associate's degree in engineering science, and it involved and also degree. Now I didn't like having to take those courses at the time, but I'm glad now that I took them because they teach also about people, about how society works, and how people think, especially people who are not of technical nature like I am. Because there are a lot of things in industrial art, like you're talking about an artistic person. Uh, yeah, commercial artwork is very important, like doing the artwork for instruction
Right.
together in an interlocking way.
Yeah, line art and all that kind of stuff, illustration. I mean, a lot of that stuff is important. So, all right. Well, we're gonna continue on here. Thank you, Jason, for your call. I appreciate you calling in and being a part of it today. And you make some valid points. Don't worry about becoming a chronic caller because it's always interesting. So I appreciate it.
And
Th-
one more thing, I've not forgotten. I'll send you the information on those older school books publishers that'll do them with. I'm sure they'd offer a big discount.
you bet.
These are the older.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate you calling in and being a part of it today. All right. We're coming up on the top of the hour here. Still dealing with these technical issues on the other side. Everybody on the radio heard it loud and clear. Everybody on the simulcast, not so much. So we're working on that. You can always go back and listen to the podcast. The podcast is hearing all of this, so the recording is all doing well. So just in case you were wondering, you can always go back to the podcast and listen to what you missed. All right, we're going to continue here. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty based, free thinking radio. Uh, Hour two, Mike Shower will be joining us for the Shower Hour of Power. What are we going to talk about? I don't know yet. It'll be something good. I'm sure it'll be something real good. We'll continue here in just a moment. Back with more right after these messages. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Harold just keeps saying whistle. You realize you moron, that if I say something, it goes out over the radio as well as just on the internet, right? You're just going to have to be patient. Just whistle. Sure, I'm sure everybody on the radio would love that. That'll be just fine. Don't worry about that. All right. Yeah, I got you guys to hear Jason for a second. I was changing some settings in the background, but it's not a permanent setting because then you wouldn't hear me. You'd only hear him. I don't know exactly what happened when why all of a sudden everything just changed around. I'm going over here to looking at this. Yep, that's right. Everything's setting right. I mean, none of the settings have changed. That's what I've been checking all morning is that, like I said, sometimes something like this happens and just a full reboot of the computer, something in the background that you can't see or can't control got jiggled around. And, all right, let me close this right here. Let's do this here. Let's do that. And I'm going to disable that. And we'll try that. Is this the problem? I don't know. Let me see what this says. Okay. You guys hear that? Yes or no? Just out of curiosity. All right. So you guys will let me know if you can hear that music or not. No time for music. Okay. Time for a new thingamajig. I wish there was a new thingamajig. I wish I had a new thingamajig. All right. I'm going to close all that. All right. Let's check everything else here. If you don't fix it, you're going to, yeah, because you can't do the show without music. Absolutely, Harold. I'm sure, I'm not going to get it fixed. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go back to work. That's just the unfortunate part. You're just going to have to go back to work. You're hearing it now because I'm playing out of my phone. So let me get Shower on the line. Yeah, you can hear that music because it's coming out of a different source. I have a source problem. That's my problem. I have a source problem.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you, my friend?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm fine. It's more convincing when I say it. I don't know exactly what that means, but it's a lot more convincing when I say
it. That's because you've been up for a while.
Yes. Well,
raging.
I'm only
blood pressure's up.
The blood pressure's up, the things are going, the stress is high. Yeah, I'm having a problem with my audio on a couple things here, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. So I'm making sure that's all good. That's all good. Okay. All right. So how's life, Mr. Dozer? What's going on in your world?
Oh, well, nothing really with the legislature per se. It's pretty quiet there, obviously. I mean, once the Senate majority decided to violate the Constitution with the budget and move on, I think everybody wanted to get out as fast as they could. So I haven't seen much action on that part. FedEx is pretty quiet. So it's really pretty calm summer generally for me personally. Just actually having a little bit of fun for the first time in a couple of years. A little fishing, a little this, a little that, a lot of yard work. But it's been a relative compared to last year. It's been a pretty relaxing summer.
It's been a good summer. You're a happy man. So I guess that's all.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
It's not been bad. Other than the rain, the lack of an actual summer. The rain and the temperatures, it's been a good summer.
Yeah, no, I gotta tell you, the summer, although we've complained about it a bit, has actually not been too bad. I mean, it hasn't been too rainy. It's been rainy. It's been cool. We haven't seen a lot of the hot weather, but in the overall, it's pretty darn. It's still better than snow, I guess, is what I keep wanting to say. It's still better
Oh,
than
yeah,
snow time.
I don't disagree with that at all. And Michelle and I were talking about this. Like, people got so spoiled in the 2000s when it got warm for a while, and then it's kind of been back and forth the last however many years. But the 90s, we remember it being like this pretty much every year back then. It was different.
Yeah,
So this is not that abnormal to have a summer like this. I mean, we had years of these kind of cooler, rainy summers from what we remember, anyways.
yeah, yeah. I don't know exactly. Well, again, all I could say is I'm just glad that it's not snowing. That's my positive. That's my positive note for the days. Yeah, it's at least it's not snowing. That's my positivity note for the day. All right. Well, Mike Shower, which I actually have to spell the name with the correct without the I. All right, Mike Shower is our guest here. We're about to jump back into it. He's going to slowly warm up here as he wakes up. He's going to slowly get together, and we're going to jump back into it. So hold the line, my friend. We'll be right back to you. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty based, free thinking radio. Like and share, like and follow. I only need 42 more people to sign up, subscribe on YouTube to hit the partner status. So if you haven't subscribed and followed my YouTube channel, now's the time to do it. All right, here we go. Jumping back into it. The Michael Duke Show. Back with more in a second. Around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Welcome back to the program. It is the Michael Duke Show, hour 2 of this fabulous hump day. Fabulous. I mean, it's a little rainy, it's a little cool, but as I just told our guest, State Senator Mike Shower, at least it's not snowing, which is, I guess, a positive way to look at it. Mike Shower, state senator from District O, joins us on the program right now to talk about this and that and the other thing. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm more awake than I was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like having to roll out of bed to pick up that phone and go, "Hello." It's all good. I'm sorry to interrupt your beauty sleep because boy, do you need it. I mean,
Oh, you're not kidding.
I mean, hello, hello. All right, my friend. Well, it's been a while. It's been about a month now since we talked last. And session's over. We're in the interim. We were waiting for things to happen. Nothing's going on. It's got again a real. I was just talking about it earlier. Real quiet news day. Really, nothing's happening. So first and foremost, I guess, fill us in on what you've been doing. How you feeling? How's the recuperation going? Before we get into the mind-numbing politics of the situation.
Good family wise. Last year we talked about that, many times. I had to campaign, I was upgrading, to captain with FedEx, and it was a busy, busy time for that, for 5 or 6 months there, just kind of swamped. And this is almost the, diametrically opposed. Now I don't have that stuff going on and there's no session. So it's been a very calm time since left the legislature. But then again, Mike, I go back to the legislature. For me, what did I have to do? I had no committee work thanks to my Republican colleagues. I had no really nothing to do, So it's kind of funny when I see some of the trolls like on Facebook go, "You should be there." I'm like, to do what?
Right.
I don't have anything to do there other than sit around. I was watching different committees on, online, just paying attention to them because what else can you do? I mean, I went to a few to testify, but didn't have anything to do thanks to my colleagues. So it was actually pretty boring until we got towards the end of the session where, started kind of running around to figure out what was going to happen with the budget and the PFD and all those kinds of things. So it was pretty calm even then. So relatively compared to the last few years, the last, few months in general have been just really, pretty cush. So there's nothing going on legislatively. I mean, and you said it yourself, it's quiet. The summer's pretty quiet. There's nothing. Just right now, we're kind of like in the calm period, right? So not a lot going on. Pretty quiet. I mean, I'm gardening at home and taking care of the yard, doing those kinds of things. Little of this, a little of that. But really, Mike, I mean, right now, from that perspective, life is calm. I'm just no special sessions, as I predicted there probably wouldn't be.
Right.
Um, nobody in this, especially in this Senate majority, is going to do anything about a comprehensive fiscal plan. They don't want it, so that's not going to happen. You can call a special session all day long and watch nothing. So why waste another, $9,000 of tax free per diem, per whoever, to go sit back there and accomplish nothing? So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's any stomach for a special session for the legislature calling itself back into it. I certainly wouldn't vote to do it. So I don't know that much is going to happen from now until next January. And then even then, other than bills to, start spending lots more money, I don't know what's going to happen out of the Senate. That's good. Again, no moving on a comprehensive fiscal plan. I mean, you can see that based on who's in charge. So I just don't see much of anything from now until next November, Mike, that's going to have any movement or anything, long lasting, affecting the state in a positive trend. So it's pretty vanilla, really, from that perspective.
Pretty
So,
vanilla. Do
mm,
you have any I mean, I guess, again, it's not like this is a bad thing that this is what's going on and it got real quiet. I mean, I guess that gives us all a chance to let our hair down and relax and like I said, recuperate a little bit. Are you I mean, do you putting together a battle plan for the coming session? Because I mean, again, I say battle plan because let's face it, we all know it's going to be a battle of one way or the other. But I mean, are you are you putting together some kind of plan for the things you want to hit on again? Is this all contingent on what happens? Does the majority hold together? Does it change? I mean, does anything else go on? Or are you just kind of expecting another year of the same kind of go along to get along? You guys are in the corner and everybody else is getting their piece of the pie and you guys get nothing kind of thing?
I would expect that more than anything else, Mike. I mean, you have some very vindictive personalities. We've seen that over the last year. I don't think you're going to see much change out of that. People have their little positions of power. The Democrats certainly aren't going to give it up. The nine of them, achieved majority control of the Senate when there's more Republicans, so they're certainly not going to be interested in giving anything up. So, the Republicans, a couple of them are going to have to become very apologetic when they get into the campaign season next year for what happened. But whatever, people tend to seem to forget these things. Oh well, it's fine. I won't do it again. I promise. So, um, I don't see where there's going to be a lot of change between now and then. Um, it's going to be interesting to watch a few of the campaign seasons based on who may throw their name into the hat and how some of the Republicans have acted. I will be really paying attention to how the Republican Party of Alaska responds to this, right? Because um, how the Republican Party is going to support and probably, like they have in the past, give money to Republicans that gave Democrat control to the Senate. is beyond my comprehension, but I would anticipate, knowing how this has played out in the past, that's going to happen. So I would imagine that's going to be an interesting time and battle. So that's one thing. So yeah, I don't predict they're going to fall apart. It could, but I don't think so. Everybody's pretty ensconced into their positions and their power and what they got. They'll have their reasons why they did what they did, right? There will be promises made again, next campaign season as you go into it. And we'll see how the Republican Party handles what happened, because I didn't see much out of the Republican Party as far as being too upset, that Democrats have control of the Senate. So, and I've had conversation with some Republican Party officials, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so
Oh, wait, that's just the way it is. Some things will never
yeah,
change. I
I'm
mean, what?
summarizing. I'm summarizing, Mike, conversations that, let's just, we don't really get involved in that. I'm like, well, I'm not really sure what good a party is if it's not going to hold its members accountable to the party's, principles and allow Democrats to gain control. Long stories, and just kind of paraphrasing, the response or lack thereof, as you saw, when the Republicans did that last November. And then, frankly, Mike, it was long before November. They were scheming this all last summer. So we know that. We had enough intel from people. So, that is what it is. They did what they did, and they'll do it again if they're given the chance. So, as we've seen, this is power over principle. This is going to happen with people. So, I don't anticipate a lot of changes. What will be interesting to watch, and not in a good way, will be what happens with some of the bills, like the defined benefit plan being pushed by a certain senator, and others, like a increase permanent to the BSA of $250 million. There are a number of bills, Mike, that will break us in the long run and guarantee the PFD is gone, number one, and guarantee that here before too long, we're going to have taxes one way or the other, number two. This argument about, well, we don't want a tax to pay the PFD is pretty much irrelevant, because what they're not telling you is, based on the spending rate of increase, we're going to be there anyways. Like I've said many times in this program and other places, trying to get people to understand it, is that if you look at contract increases right now, we're about 125-ish million a year increase every year, doing nothing else. They're just happening. So every 5 years, we're well over $500 million in new spending. That's before any bills, any defined benefit, any BSA increase, anything else. You get the vaunted defined benefit plan. You get a increase to the BSA as proposed. Mike, you're looking at over $500 million, like right now, next year, not including the
Right.
other one. So,
And not
5 years from now,
not including the
yeah,
long
5 years,
costs of these things. I mean, right? I mean, that was
yeah.
even Bert
So,
Stedman was hesitant when he looked at the numbers that were coming up about the defined benefits program, saying,
well,
the long term on this is not good. I mean, even he, I guess, was not ambitious enough to try and swallow that pill.
well, he joined with those people, so that's on him, not me. I didn't do that. They did it. They gave those people power. So too bad. Don't complain about who you're dealing with and the cost of it, because you knew what they were up to. So you look at those numbers, Mike, and go, that's over $500 million, per year, and much, much more than that when you kind of put these things together. So, I read a thing from Alaska Policy Forum a couple of days ago, a little bit confusing. Called some, talked to them a little bit about oh, well, this is a responsible budget. Well, no, we didn't say it's a good budget. So there's a little bit of word parsing there, but they don't agree with the budget. They were trying to say that, well, it's under the cap we have. I said, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean, one, the process is good, because the process was broken, Mike. Like, I've made the contention. I I believe, and I wish some citizens would do it, that they should sue the Senate majority for violating the Constitution, because they did not follow the constitutional process for creating and passing that budget, because they never passed the capital budget to the House. So that's about as clear a violation as you can get, as far as I'm concerned. And everybody just seems to go, huh, hey, nothing to see here. Move along. These aren't the drones you're looking for. So, but it wasn't below their number that the policy form had put out, until the governor vetoed what he did. So even then, that budget was above their own, cap that they had thrown out as just a number. and people are still saying that. Well, it's a responsible budget. First of all, um, in that the governor's draconian cuts. Right, here we go again with the governor's cutting the budget. Nobody's going to pick up the phone
Right,
from the
right,
Department of Public Safety when you
right.
call, and all the teachers are going to get pink slipped. Mike, got news for you. The governor only vetoed some of the increases to the budget. He didn't veto spending. We're up, brother. We caught up all that ground. They said, well, those budgets are pretty flat since 26. We've caught up to all of that, and we're moving beyond again. So throttle's pushed up. Here we go. So we're back to, high spending and only accelerating, which means the PFD battle, Mike, at least, I mean, we're up. We've all got battle fatigue, right? But the PFD is, as far as I can see, dude, it's gone. They don't even
Right.
care anymore. They're not even, I mean, people aren't even pretending in the legislature to act like they care about it. I mean, look what happened with some of the Democrats that, have been vaunted PFD supporters. Now that they're in the majority, it's like, yeah, well, yeah, yeah, I'm going to vote for the $1,300 PFD. And yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, I didn't mean it. So, like,
Right,
even the
right.
Democrat votes we have counted on in the past that said they support the PFD, well, they're not going to vote against government spending, right? And they didn't. So there was exactly three of us, that voted at a 20 against the budget, mostly for the process, but the PFD was part of it because we haven't solved the problem. We haven't produced a comprehensive fiscal plan, which the House is prepared and ready to do. And the Senate majority has said very clearly they're not going to do it. So they're not going to pass a comprehensive fiscal plan. They're looking at massive spending increases. They're not going to follow the Constitution, apparently, when it comes to the process. And other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Other than that,
So,
how was the play? All right, well, hold the line, Mike. We're going to continue here. The Michael Duke Show continues. We've got more coming up. Common sense, liberty based, free thinking radio. We'll continue with State Senator Mike Shower here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Back with more right after this. Okay. State Senator Mike Shower, our guest here on the program. Quick question. Did you guys hear any of that music or outro stuff at all?
huh?
I'm I'm asking for
Oh,
not you, Mike.
gotcha.
I'm asking the listeners. I'm trying to bypass a bunch of stuff here and making sure that it works. I'm playing the music in the bumper beds right now. They're still not hearing it.
Hmm.
Something is fun. Something is not right, says Miss Clavel. Something
You have been
is.
hacked.
I've been. I don't know. It's one of those things where everything was working perfectly, and everything was working fine. I don't think Mike. Can you even hear the music when I play the music?
Yeah, it sounds normal to me.
It sounds normal
Everything
to you.
does.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to tear this whole thing around, and I mean, I'm trying to bypass it and do everything else. Something is broken. I don't know exactly what, but something broke. Anyway, you know, Mike, some people might ask after the whole thing, and you basically saying kind of uh, to paraphrase Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make? I mean, if you go down there and you basically get stuck in a corner and do nothing, I mean, some people might go, how do you continue to try and fight the fight when basically nothing is working, and you have no leverage and no power and things like that? I mean, how do you face that? I mean, to me, that would be the ultimate in frustration. So how do you face that?
Well, I mean, of course it's frustrating, Mike, because I want to see progress. I want to see a comprehensive fiscal plan. I want to see the state rein in its spending and not spend more than it takes in. I want to see good bills done, finish up, the repeal of SB 91 and some criminal justice things that need to be done. I want to see not only a comprehensive energy, fiscal plan, but an energy plan. I want to see us, start getting to the point where we build things again. I want to start digging, I want to start drilling. I want to start logging. I want to start building, dams, refineries. There's so much stuff that this state has potential to do. And I want to see that for my kids and my grandkids, Mike. I don't, as I've said before, I don't need this. I'm in this because it's important for our future. Michelle and I've had our shot at it, kind of, we've had this conversation offline talking. This is for our kids and our grandkids. It's not for us. And so is it worth fighting for? Yes. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. Am I going to give up the ghost for that? No, I'm not, because politics changes, right? I mean, this is how it is now. Next November, it might be something different. I mean, I've got good allies in the House. The House has held the line in a lot of things, and I've got really good relationships. And I've never treated the House like crap, like a lot of Senate Majority members have, especially the older ones, and screwed them over. So, got very good relationships there by comparison. Got a good relationship with the governor. Governor has done some vetoes, and some of those we asked for. So it's like all things, Mike. You got to take it in total. Your team may not be great, but maybe you've got a good player here and you've got a good thing over. So you fight the battle where you can with what resources you have. As Donald Rumsfeld said, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you want. So it's just one of those. Plus we made promises, Mike. I mean, people supported us. They got us reelected, and they want us to go down there and hold the line on principles. So we can do that. But if you're outnumbered and people sell their soul for power, into a super majority, that's the way it goes. You can't control that. Sometimes there shouldn't be one. There should be 4 or 5 of them that have no reason to do what they did, but that's what happens. That's politics. So, but I mean, Mike, if we didn't have the governorship right now, or the House folded into another supermajority with ours, crossing the line with the D's, then you could have given up on any of the stuff, that we talked about, at least, some vetoes on some budget increases, at least, defined benefits and other stuff not going through right now that we can't afford. There'd be no hope of a comprehensive fiscal plan. So it could be worse. Like you said, with the weather, could be worse.
It could be. It could be worse. We're not sure how, but we know that it could be worse. So we don't want to imagine all those different things. All right, Mike Shower, our guest. The Michael Duke Show continues. We've got more coming up here with him, and I don't know. We'll kind of plan out for what the next, what he may be focusing on the next session, and then we'll continue with just some chitter chatter. It's all directly ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Here we go. Yep. The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy, nor do I play one on TV because, I mean, why? I got real life to contend with. I don't need to mess with all that stuff. Mike Shower is our guest here on the big radio program. We're ready to talk with him and continue our discussion. We were just chatting about this last session, and I think I just asked, and I'm gonna repeat it because I just asked what I thought was a good question, and Mike had a really good answer, and that was, Mike, you go down there, you say you guys are being, you're put in a corner, you're ineffective, you're, you don't have much power, you're basically on the sidelines, put in the dunce chair, so to speak. How do you keep doing it? And you gave us a great answer as to why you keep going back and why you keep fighting.
I'll do it again. So I'll do my best to repeat those things. So, it's politics, right? That's the bottom line. It's just politics. But as I said, Mike, and we've talked about many times, I don't need this, right? This is for our kids and our grandkids. I was going to ask you if you had ever read any books about George Washington and how the fight for this nation went. When it started, there were some very dark days, and many times he could have easily given up. except he would pray. And he's like, I believe this is my duty, and he would continue to fight. But, when you look at how those battles went today, I don't know that there would be a United States of America because, it was so hard on them. And many of them were not professional soldiers. Remember, these were like farmers and preachers and people that, just, they had no uniforms, they had no support, no money. They were completely bankrupt, when the Revolutionary War was over, but yet they never gave up on the idea, right? And so I look at the same thing, Mike, and I go, yes, are we frustrated? Of course. Are we, marginalized right now? Absolutely we are. But can we give up? If we're, when Pearl Harbor hit, we know the nation didn't give up and say, oh, I guess that's it. Just give the Japanese what they want. Let's move on. They're like, no, it's time to fight. So we're fighting for principles, Mike. We're fighting for ideas. I still, when you think about it, there is no comprehensive energy plan. There is no comprehensive fiscal plan. I want to see us start building things, mining, drilling, logging, build refineries, dams, roads, bridges, ports. There's so much potential in this state, Mike. And while you and I have had these offline discussions about nothing, we don't need the frustration because it is, and I'd rather just enjoy life. Um, it is worth fighting the battle for our kids and our grandkids because I don't think we can just give up. And if you look at the trends of where this is going, I mean, they want to turn Alaska into a national park. They want to turn Alaska blue and have the entire left coast, under their thumb. And I'm not willing to give up on that. And just because a few Republicans are willing to, you know, throw their names in with the Democrats for a seat of power for a short time doesn't mean you concede. As the saying goes, you might lose a battle. Doesn't mean you lost the war. Go back to Vietnam, that one when the American colonel and the Vietnamese colonel was standing there as they were doing the prisoner swap, after the war was over on the tarmac, waiting to put the U.S. POWs on the plane. The American colonel looks at him, he says, we never lost a battle. And the Vietnamese colonel said, yeah, but you lost the war. So, you have to, take things on the whole and go, what's at stake? What's at stake is the future of a vibrant state that our kids and grandkids want to live in, that, has an economy and a private sector, not just dominated by the public sector. Because right now, Mike, that's the path we're on. Right now, the public sector is going to be it in this state, right? I mean, that is the dominant force as it is right now. This is a union controlled state. This is a public sector controlled state. So, what do you want to see moving forward in years ahead? And just because a few people gave up the principles doesn't mean that everything will be that way next November. So, part of the focus, like I said, is I still have a good relationship with the governor who helped on vetoes and some other things and working on stuff. We still have really good relationship with members of the House because I've never treated them like crap, like some members may have in the Senate, and manipulated and coerced and twisted their arm. So, and that held the line on a lot of things, Mike, that could have been far worse. So, as we said at the end of it, it's like, well, it could be worse, So,
Right.
you take your victories where you can, and sometimes, the battlefield looks pretty bleak. But did you ever read the book Midway?
I did
Remember
not
that one, the
read.
Battle of Midway?
I know of the Battle of Midway, but I did not read the book. No, so
It's another thing of Providence, Mike. You look at that by all courses. If you know anything about the Battle of Midway, the U.S. should have lost that. Japanese fleet was massive, had us overwhelmed. They should have invaded Midway and destroyed the U.S. carrier fleet, and it would have been, the war probably would have ended up the same eventually, but it would have been a massive setback like Pearl Harbor. And literally one Japanese destroyer that had, I think it was back looking for people or whatever, had an oil slick, and it was racing to catch up to the Japanese fleet. All of the U.S., had launched, the carriers had launched pretty much all their airplanes, their torpedo bombers, which were down, on the surface, and the dive bombers, which were up higher, 15, 18,000 feet. And they saw the oil slick and then saw the Japanese destroyer, and they followed it because they were running out of fuel. And they're like, we'll follow that and we'll go. Well, all of the torpedo bombers dived down, and they found the fleet, and they went in and dropped missed every single one. They didn't hit a thing. All of them, pretty much all of them got shot down. It had pulled down all of the Japanese fighter cover to chase those torpedo bombers. They were trying to get them back. In the meantime, the dive bombers came in at the same time. And if you may remember, I believe they sunk three of they might have sunk all four carriers that the Japanese had, turned the tide of everything. And we only really kind of lost one carrier out of that. And it was just this major thing. But you look at go, Mike, by all odds, we should have lost that battle. changes to the war significantly.
Right.
But one little thing, right? And they didn't give up hope and they kept fighting. So, I go back to a lot of battle things, as I'm talking about George Washington and other things, because I think sometimes you're almost at that point in history. Do you give up and never know how it could have been, or do you keep fighting the battle because people need us to? Our kids and grandkids need us to. People have put faith in us that reelected us and voted for us to say, go down there and fight the battle. So I can't quit because of that. But when certain politicians are willing to sell their soul for a temporary time, sometimes this is how it goes, right? I mean, you've been in politics yourself. It doesn't always go the way you want it to. So, we'll work with who's available, the governor of the House. We'll work on, who's going to be running for office next year and see how those go. We'll see what next November looks like, and we'll reassess, where the battle goes. During that time, there are some options with some members. I'm not going to say what those are right now. That can make some people very nervous as far as looking at some government programs and things that need to happen. I'm still frustrated on election stuff, right? It was taken over by a Democrat thanks to the Republicans in the Senate that joined in a supermajority. So instead of having us continue to fight that battle, now we've got a Democrat pushing the Democrat side of things. That's why we had to shut, really, in essence, that's kind of why we had to shut it down again with the House members, because it wasn't going in a overly positive direction. We're still in Eric. I still haven't seen the Shabaka report. I mean, there's a lot of things, Mike, that
Right. Right.
you can be pretty frustrated with and say, that's it, I'm just done.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to take the reins if I'm not there and do that stuff? So
Well,
I don't know. What do you do?
it's frustrating to watch, but and more frustrating, I'm sure, to live through. But again, as we often say on the program, you can't grow weary in well doing. You got to keep fighting the fight. And just when it looks bleakest, that's, I guess, when we need to pull a little harder. What does this mean for the upcoming session? All this, with the three of you still kind of on the outside, assuming that the organization holds the way that it is right now. What does this mean for the coming session? What do you see happening? Can you walk us through that? Can you give us any idea what you guys will be fighting for, or anything that you can do? I don't want you to give away strategies or anything, but just kind of a a preview, so to speak.
Well, I think the biggest battles you're going to see, and this is quite interesting because now you have seen members of the Senate really throw a lot of members in the House under the bus. Like when they left, there were House members, and some of them been around a while, that are very angry about now. So you talk about, they continue to talk about how, well, Shelley and Shower, they just were, just terrible people and, just really not nice. And I'm like, have you seen the personalities of some of the people in the Senate majority? Were the bad ones really? I don't think so. And if you look at how they treated the House majority and worked with the House minority to throw the House majority under the bus, you talk about how they've treated people, Mike, who's treated who poorly and thrown some people under the bus and pissed them off. I mean, the Senate majority, certain members have really, really angered the House majority. I can tell you this, which is going to be fascinating to watch the budget. If you think the capital budget is going to leave the House before they get the operating budget next session, you'd be, yeah, I got beachfront property in Arizona. They ain't going to
Right.
fall for that trick again. I
Because
mean,
it swaps,
they
right?
shot their,
Because it swaps this
yeah.
year. This year, the House had the operating budget to begin with. Next session, next half of the session, it swaps, and it has the other way around. But it's the same kind of thing. One body has one budget, the other body has the other, and they're
Uh-huh.
supposed to come together.
So you think the House is going to listen to the Senate finance table this time and say, no, trust us. You'll get it on the last day. And it'll be a turducken that we promise you're not, we're going to do. And we're going to shove all this in there and you're going to take it or leave it. So the House is probably going to be playing a bit of a different game, would be my guess, this time around. So that's going to be fascinating to watch from the sidelines. It's going to be fascinating and hopefully, not an end result that is, horrifying, to see what happens with some of these bills on like the BSA and defined benefits, because, you got a hardcore leftist who's been calling, a bunch of us terrorists, pushing the BSA bill, parents and other legislators. And you got one that says they were conservative that's pushing a defined benefit. For both.
Not just terrorists, Mike. You guys have been accused of being akin to the KKK, burning crosses on the lawn. I mean, that was like, what?
Yeah, and you notice how nobody says anything? It's like not a peep.
Yeah, I mean,
Not a peep
yeah,
from the
nobody.
ADN or the
Yeah,
frontiersmen,
nobody
Juno
makes
Empire.
no.
Nothing.
They actually quoted her on it, and then didn't even say anything about really. I mean, you're equating them to the KKK. I mean,
could you imagine if I said that? If I said that about parents in the state, or I said this about leftists in the state, or Democrats, or if I said it about other legislators, what they would say and do? If I had said that other legislators and parents that are involved in whatever particular topic were this kind of terrorism, or said this is akin to burning crosses on, can you imagine, Mike, if we talked about that? What that would be, on landmine and on all of the midnight sun, boy, it would be everywhere blasted. I mean, but this is the kind of stuff that's come out. I mean, we were accused of wanting to cut education when we asked for accountability early on in the session.
right.
This is the kind of language we're seeing, though, Mike, and you have to understand the battlefield. We have people that are willing to throw those things down in a very complicit press that says nothing. Where was the press asking the really hard questions when the Senate did what it did with the budget?
Right.
They should have been looking at that, go, guys, this is not constitutional. What are you doing? But the press just said, a few things here and there, nothing big, kind of, because they don't want to lose access, right? You don't want to lose that access to this. So
I guess. I mean, I thought it was supposed to be responsible journalism and holding everybody accountable, but apparently only the people that you want to hold accountable, I guess, is the answer there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So
Mike,
the press is not helping.
Mike Shower, our guest today. We got one final segment coming up, and we're just gonna free rein it. I'm listening. The Battle of Midway discussion was fascinating. We should talk more about that. I don't know. So many different things that we could talk about that don't necessarily have to do with politics. So maybe we'll pick that up with Mike Shower. We'll give him a little bit of free rein on the other side here. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like and share, and like and follow if you're out on the interwebs. If you haven't come out and joined us out there yet, we got a lot of fun stuff happening in the chat room. Come join us there. Facebook.com/Michael Duke Show. We're going to be back with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Are you kidding me? You guys are now hearing the music? I mean, all I did was set everything back to what I had set it for before, and now it all works again. Jeez, Mary and Joseph. It is pure beard power, says Chris. Yeah, I do not know. All I did was I tried to bypass everything in the last segment, and then I put everything back the way it was, and my head is going to explode, man. Just explode. All right, Mike. Well, we probably beat that horse to death, and there's probably nothing left to discuss as far as the upcoming session and everything else. So anyway, what have you been up to? How you been? What have you been doing? You explored it, joined anything, and are you loving it? I mean, what's going on in the off season here?
Well, I mean, not to go back to the politics of it, I'm talking to a few members on some things that may happen on, some stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But those are all, still behind closed doors trying to figure out things that can happen. So there's a little bit, it's not like you just stop working, right? I mean, still going to community councils and assembly meetings, and, there's still some constituent things that pop up. So still doing stuff, like going to the Matsuit Health Foundation and watch a bunch of conservatives show up, and all of a sudden they get real nervous. I'm like, that was interesting. That was fascinating. Did that about a month ago. I'm like, they're used to owning the roost on that one, and all of a sudden, you're seeing the Matsu Health Foundation. You're going, why are they involved in the Braided River renaming thing, or in this thing or that thing? You guys got your fingers in a lot of pies. So some stuff like that, just kind of finger on the pulse.
Okay, so wait a second. But roll this back here. Tell us the story here. So a meeting And the Matsu Health, what? Give me the details here.
So the Matsu Health Foundation, right? They get a lot of money, and they do some good work. I mean, it's not all like under the table, but they've also it's pretty left leaning organization as you kind of dig into it, and they've got their fingers in a lot of stuff on some school curriculum things going on like renaming the river to the Braided River Festival in Palmer, instead of the Colony Days. I mean, just they've got their fingers in a lot of different stuff. And so a while back, there was some people going out. One of the ladies in our neighborhood, not sociopolitics, she's like, "Hey, you need to go to the Matsu Health Foundation, the yearly meeting and become a member because they're doing bad stuff in our community, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, huh. Well, I mean, I know about it. We've briefed with them. They've been in our office and talked on different things. So like, we will. So Michelle and I went, signed up, and there was a bunch of conservatives there, Mike. And it was kind of funny because they were kind of holding them accountable to what are you doing. They were asking for transparency on funding. Where's your money coming from? Where are you spending it? And there were some people kind of squirming in their seats, and I was like, I'll be doggone. It's kind of the whole Moms for Liberty, holding school boards accountable, people and parents starting to kind of be unwoken up, if you will. They're waking up, not the kind of woke they were hoping for. People are starting to fight back. School board, we got a lady in our neighborhood that's going to run for school board up here because she's like, this guy's never been opposed for 15 years. She's like, this is ridiculous. She got a lot of young kids. And so it's kind of fascinating, Mike, because we're just watching this transition where a lot of ordinary Americans are finally going, enough. That's it. I'm getting involved. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. I'm like, wow. And starting to hold some of these organizations that have been doing stuff for so long and nobody's paying attention. All of a sudden, a lot of people are paying attention. So, maybe it's not for naught that we sit here and beat our heads against, the wall so often on the radio or other things we're doing, because there are people that are waking up, Mike. And I just read earlier this week that the Moms for Liberty, like 120,000, members in like a year or 2 years, in 44 states. Just things like that are accelerating, and watching the other side wake up, and then the left is no longer just, it's part of why they're so angry, Mike, right? They've had the Supreme Court for 50 years. They've gotten their way on everything they wanted. They got all the scams running, all the Ponzi schemes all in their favor. And all of a sudden, they're running into roadblocks. All of a sudden, the Supreme Court's overturning stuff. All of a sudden, groups are popping up that are getting funding and fighting back. So we're saying before, it seemed a little depressing when we were talking earlier. I'm like, it's not all bad, Mike. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. That's
Right.
fascinating to watch. So we're doing some of that. But other than that, brother, your question, we're fishing. We went clamming for the first time in 5 years. We've done a little camping.
Nice.
So just trying to enjoy it and have a little fun this summer.
just trying to enjoy a little bit of the downtime and everything like that. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
You got to do that. You got to recuperate. You got to rest and rejuvenate. I I got to tell you that 5-day weekend that I took over the 4th of July was definitely much needed and recuperative, because even just covering this stuff on a daily basis is exhausting sometimes. So it's good. And
Well, you work hard, you work a lot, you get tired, of course, and you got to have a break now and then. You have to.
Yeah, could be. All right. Well, there's the ding. If you guys heard it out there. I mean, I'm just hoping this whole thing holds together. It's like spit and baling wire behind the scenes. The squirrels are running in the wheels fast as they can. We're about to jump back into it. Here we go. Mike Shower is our guest. I'm just going to give him his head full reign, whatever he wants to talk about. That's how we're going to roll. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Let's do this thing. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Seriously humorous with a pinch of intellect. Sorry. That is humorous. Here's Michael Dukes.
Yep, just a pinch. I mean, I don't know how much that is. If you got tiny, tiny baby hands, it might not be very much. My hands are pretty big, so, it's a guesstimate. That's all we're putting out there. Mike Shower is our guest, Senate District O. He comes on board to chat with us usually weekly, especially during the session. It's always good to get some insight into those things. Let's continue ahead. I told Mike that I would just give him free reign in this segment. It could be politics, it could be airplanes, it could be bacon, it could be whatever. We were talking about the Battle of Midway, which again I found fast. It's been so long since I have. I used to be a huge. Well, I guess I still am, but I used to be a lot more involved prior to becoming I guess a true adult. I don't know. In my late teens and early 20s, I was fascinated with the history of World War II and all the battles and everything else. But Mike just gave us a quick refresher course on the Battle of Midway, which is, I think you could see divine providence in that and many other battles, but that one specifically was one of the big ones for us to see the tide of the war start to turn. So that's fascinating. But Mike, let me just give you a free what else is on your mind, my friend? What else are you thinking?
Well, I mean, maybe next week we'll talk a little more about Midway because it's like I said, it's a really fascinating one. There's so many cool battles and things that have happened from the Revolutionary War, Civil War, etc. But I think it's important we kind of touch on again what we were just talking about in the break, and that is the hope, right? Because a lot of kind of negatives or neutrals we're talking about for the first 40 minutes, because not from a conservative perspective or a Republican perspective. Well, I guess it depends on kind of Republican you are in Alaska, but from the perspective of what a lot of people were hoping for, I mean, there's not a lot of great news on the state front, right? From state government and the
Right.
lack of private
Well,
sector activity, some of those things.
as you pointed out, they've clawed back all this, any savings that was accrued in the last 6 years has all been clawed back, and now we're spending more than ever. So yeah, you're right. Very frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating, but there's hope on the horizon in a lot of things, Mike. And I think I want to continue that discussion that we had, that you're seeing that we don't always hear about. And you'd asked one about the Matsu Health Foundation. I'd thrown it out, and you're like, what was it? Tell me about that. I'm like, well, we had a lady in our neighborhood walking the dog, ran into a friend that's just a neighbor. And she's like, you guys going to go to the Matsu Health? We're like, what? No, I mean, I know some folks that are, kind of involved in it, but, and they've been to our office and others. She's like, because they're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm like, well, I've heard some of that. She's like, they've got their yearly meeting come up. You need to go. We're trying to get people there. And I went, and a whole lot of faces that are conservative, I recognize, were at that mic. And I think it kind of caught them off guard. Because again, the left is so used to having, this is what we're talking about in the break, so used to having the Supreme Court break their way all the time for half a century. They're so used to getting money through Ponzi schemes and suing the federal government to keep themselves funded. They're so used to getting tons of money from all these different left-leaning organizations and billionaires. They're so used to having control of like city councils like Anchorage, assemblies where the left shows up and the unions get their people out and the conservatives don't vote, and you always wonder how the heck is Anchorage, which really isn't a really hard blue city, has got a hard blue Anchorage assembly, because that's only who shows up to vote for the most part. So you always think, oh man, all this stuff, but then you go to something like the Matsu Health Foundation and go, the conservatives got spun up and they showed up. And then well, what are they doing? Well, the Matsu Health Foundation has got its fingers in a lot of different pies, like renaming the Palmer the Colony Days to the Braided River Festival, and just a lot of other stuff going on underground, right? You're like, and now people are paying attention and call them on notice. I mentioned reading about Moms for Liberty. I hadn't even heard of 120,000 members and growing fast in 44 states. And it was in response to all the craziness on school boards across the country trying to teach critical race theory and put crappy, ridiculous books that young kids should never see in libraries, and just all the stuff going on, right? And now you're seeing people waking up, not the kind of woke the left was hoping for, but you're seeing a lot of regular Americans starting to wake up and go, whoa, we got a lady I was saying in our neighborhood that's running for school board. I don't want to say her name yet. I don't know if she's been officially announced, but she's like, yeah, the guy that, I would be running against didn't even have anybody competing against him last time. What the heck is that? And so what's the encouraging side, Mike, is to watch, I mean, look, oh, you want to have a transgender influencer? We're going to, cost your company, $6, $7, $8 billion in profit. Oh, Target, you want to go woke? Fine. We're going to, cost you a couple $1 billion. I mean, it's just, so there's some, kind of frustrating news on the state front, but at the same time, from a perspective of watching the sleeping giant awake, right? To go back to a World War II quote from Admiral Yamamoto, you're seeing that with a lot of Americans that are finally waking up and going, enough. I'm sick and tired of you pushing garbage on my kids. I'm sick and tired of you corporations pushing woke ideology, instead of just being a business. I'm sick and tired of watching sports teams do this and all that. I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. And you're actually saying regular Americans, not people that are retired, not people that are wealthy, not people that are overly political, just step up and go, I've had it. I'm getting involved. I'm
Right.
going to run for my local school board. I'm going to run for my local assembly. I'm going to organize a group nationwide that's going to fight back and get funding. I mean, it's fascinating, Mike, and that's the part of me kind of gets fired up again when you say, well, how do you keep doing this? I go, because I'm starting to watch some cool stuff take place, and people are sick of it. I mean, it is fascinating to watch. There are some nationwide movements that are fighting back. I mean, who organized the kickback against Bud Light? Nobody. Average Americans that have been drinking it for decades just said, "Screw you! I'm sick of this garbage," and they switched to another beer. Dude, they, by just virtue of doing what they did as a collective group, they pretty much destroyed an iconic American brand, because that iconic American brand lost its mind,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so it's not all doom and gloom, really, when you
Well,
see tens of millions of Americans starting to fight back all on their own,
yeah.
and they're starting to organize. It's awesome to
Well,
watch.
and I think you see that in many different ways. I mean, the latest controversy seems to be, I don't know if you've been following this at all, but there's a movie out called The Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel.
Oh, we watched it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to watch. It is supposed to
It's
be.
good.
I've been looking forward to it. I actually threw some
It's really
money.
good.
Yeah, I actually threw some money at Angel Studios when they first came out because they were doing some good stuff, and so I'm excited about it. But if you look at the press, if you look at the mainstream media, if you look at Hollywood and how they're treating it, this is a movie that they had a chance for it at Netflix. They turned it down. They had a chance for it. Disney turned it down. Amazon turned it down. So it went over to Angel Studios, and this movie has been filmed for 4 years. It's just now
5.
5 years. It's just now getting released. And the reception from the public has been phenomenal. It's an amazing story. It's about child slavery and child trafficking. It's based on a true story. It's heartbreaking. The first thing you see come out is the headlines read, Jim Caviezel pushing movie that's a QAnon conspiracy. It's all about now they're trying to show that now this is the same news media, the same Hollywood elites, everything else that looked at that movie. What was it, 2 years ago? Cuties, the movie Cuties, where they
Mm-hmm.
sexualized a bunch of 11-year-old girls, and everybody said, "Oh, this is the great movie. This is the greatest thing," which was a commercial flop. The people didn't like it. The critics loved it, everything. But this is the same people that on the one side, a movie that sexualizes 11-year-olds is fine, but a movie that talks about child slavery and sex trafficking and everything else is just some QAnon conspiracy. This is what
That, by the
people
way, is backed up with facts and figures because it's
exactly.
true and nobody can deny it.
Exactly. And so, but this is what people are getting sick of. This kind of gaslighting from the mainstream media and the left to say, "Oh, everything's fine. This is good. What you like is bad." They can never figure out why some of these movies with heart, and I'm keep going back to the movies because that's one of the most prevalent things you can see. Movies with heart, movies with a good story, movies with a moral compass. These movies always do well with regular Americans, but they're hated by the elites. And I think you're seeing that kind of backlash start to happen in many other things.
Because, Mike, the regular American people are good people. They have heart, they have morals, they have beliefs. They're decent folks trying to make it, raise a family, do good things of all stripes, all politics, just across the board. They're good people. But many of the people at the top and others are not. And you're seeing the mass fight back, finally waking up, like I said. And it always makes me I get that little bit of smirk, if you can see my face, because I don't have great coverage down here, but I get that little bit of smirk. I'm like, all those elites that are having their press pundits and their talking mouths say these bad things about this movie, about Sound of Freedom. I wonder if any of their names were on the Epstein list. You gotta kind of wonder about that, don't you?
I mean, exactly. I mean, that's one of those, you start thinking, you start wondering, is this all part and parcel of it? But no, that just makes us QAnon conspiracy theorists now
Right.
because, we're all about
But yeah, we
yeah,
know that many of those elites were part of these sex parties and the other stuff going on. We know that there was underage trafficking, underage girls. I mean, that's already been admitted in the press and in some of the court stuff going on. So that's why kind of the part of me looks at it and goes, yeah, are your names somewhere in there? Is that why this makes you so nervous?
Yeah.
Is that why this makes you so uncomfortable? Because
Well,
there's some real evil
I'm
running
glad.
around at those high levels, bro.
Yeah, and I'm glad
There is.
I'm glad to hear you say the same things that I've been thinking, that yes, the sleeping giant, it's been slumbering, or people have been frustrated, they threw their hands up, but now more and more people seem to be getting engaged. When we get a win like what's happening in the Supreme Court and things like that, people get encouraged and they get re-engaged. We just need to
Wow.
encourage all that. Mike Shower, our guest.
Exactly.
Thank you, my friend. Hold the line. Folks, we're out of time. We got to go. We'll see you tomorrow for Thursday, The Michael Duke Show. All right, Mike Shower, final bite at the apple, my friend. Good stuff. I mean, you're right. You need to encourage us. It's easy to get daubered down. It's easy to get discouraged. What final thoughts for you?
Just stay engaged, Mike. I think the biggest thing that people can do right now is become part of the waking giant. Do a little bit of something, support some candidates, maybe join a couple of these groups that are waking up, go to a studio and watch Sound of Freedom so Angel Studios can continue to be funded and make a difference. Do some little things, Mike. It's like I said, it doesn't take much, right, for the tide. When you have millions of people, it doesn't take much from everybody. If you only have a few thousand people, it takes a lot, right? So just a little bit, and go see the Sound of Freedom. Michelle and I, with another couple that's a friend, we rented a theater this past Saturday. We rented the theater and told everybody we could have, I think, up to like 135 people. We invited a whole bunch of folks to come in. It's free. We paid for it. We did it. Why? Because we wanted people to see it and wake up and start becoming something, get involved. And, I made an announcement about the one gal that's going to run, for school board while we're in there, so do something, right? Go watch the movie. Full refund. You can buy tickets for people that can't afford it otherwise for something like that. You can join Moms for Liberty. You can do you don't have to run for office, right? You can do all kinds of little things. If we could get a PAC fund, a super PAC, for the state of Alaska, imagine what we could do with, 10, 20,000 people contributing to it. We could finally start countering National Education Association money or big money for, dark money coming in here trying to influence our elections for RCV, ranked choice voting and other stuff. So there's potential, Mike. It just takes us waking up and getting involved. And there's lots of things people can do. I would encourage you, if you are encouraged right now, this is our time. Wake up, do a little something. And the next thing you know, when 100,000 people in Alaska have done a little something, that's going to be a lot of something getting done.
Absolutely.
More than you think.
Absolutely.
Don't give up, brother. It's worth it for our kids and our grandkids, man. Do not be the guy sitting back 25 years from now when your grandkids are going, "What did you do during the war, Daddy?" That was the old General Patton quote.
Right,
Since I'm on the military thing today, well, I shoveled crap at Berkeley. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
You do a little something, man. Just do a little something. Get involved.
Exactly.
Be surprised.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. Enjoy yourself. Maybe we'll talk next week, okay?
Look forward to it, my friend. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Folks, we're out of time. We got to go. Thanks for being part of it. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.